Trayton Parker. From Normandy Schools Collaborative Middle School at Lucas Crossing, Treyer Jameson, Edgar Starr, Terrion Tanksley, and Colleen Wooden from Normandy High School. If you could go up right up to the front, and we'll have the superintendent and board president. We're going to have photos taken shortly. Additionally, we want to recognize Dr. Kian, I'm sorry, I'm going to butcher the name, so I apologize. Kinedra Ukanaki, Tiffany Mitchell, Aman Ledoux, and Teresa Pearson, who were nominated for the Compass Award, with Ms. Mitchell selected as the recipient for her compassionate leadership and dedication to guiding others. Dr. Ogunagi received the Community Collaboration Award for her commitment to building strong partnerships that support the 24-1 community. We want to congratulate everyone for this achievement.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Trayton. Let's give those young men, our own students, another thunderous round of applause. It's great to see our students, especially our young men here, and to see the young men that are supporting them. I see we have 2 assistant principals, a couple of administrators, and the lead administrator of the high school. Could we recognize assistant principal Dr. Joyner and principal Dr. Gerald Nave as well? Let's give them a round of applause. Ms. Hawkins is here. I know it was another one here. I just didn't call the name. Let's hear it. Thank you for that, Dr. Triplett. At this time, Chief Campbell, would you please come forward and bring forth public comment for this portion of the meeting?
Board President, members of the board, Dr. Triplett, ladies and gentlemen. We want to thank you for attending tonight's Normandy Schools Collaborative Board of Education meeting. Before we begin, we will review the importance of conducting a productive and orderly meeting. For those community members in attendance who have signed up for public comments, please come to the podium when the board president calls your name. Out of respect for everyone in attendance, yelling, foul language, props, visuals, and addressing the audience are not permitted. Public speakers may not identify staff or students by name. In addition, audience members are not allowed to speak, yell, or cause any disruption during public comments. This ensures the Board of Education is able to listen and transition to the next speaker. The remainder of the meeting is designated for the board to work with the superintendent and staff to conduct the work as outlined in the agenda. Patrons who stay in attendance for the remainder of the meeting after public comments do so in an observatory role. Please note that those who disrupt the meeting in any capacity will be asked to leave and may lose the opportunity to attend future meetings. We want to thank you again for attending tonight's meeting, and now we will proceed with the agenda.
Civic engagement by way of public comments is an integral part of these proceedings. Do we have anyone present this evening that would like to make public comment? Yes, we do have one. Young man, please come to stage. This is Normandy High School graduate, the only Normandy High School graduate to make it to the NFL, the National Football League. Please welcome Lawrence Moroney to the podium. He's also a 2-time Super Bowl champion.
I lost.
Not the first.
It's okay, though. It's okay. I did. It's okay. I'll make this quick. Good evening, board members, administrators, faculty, families, and community. First, I want to say how truly honored I am to even be considered for the field to be named after me. That alone means more than I can put into words, because Normandy isn't where I just played football, it's where I was raised, shaped, and built. I am Normandy through and through. I walked these halls from elementary school through high school. This district poured into me long before the world knew my name, and I never forgotten where I come from. Even during times when support from the district was limited, before Triplett and current administration, my commitment to Normandy never wavered. Regardless of pushback, regardless of obstacles, I continued to show up for the kids, for the family, and for this community. Because of this place matters to me. Today, I am a proud partnership we've built together. Let me go that over. Today, I'm proud of the partnership we've built together through the LM39 Foundation. We hosted our Toys for Joy holiday giveaway right here in the district at Normandy High School, an event that started by serving 100 to 150 families at the first year, and now has grown to serving over 400 families. The growth represents trust, impact, and real community need being met. We also hosted our Athlete Mental Health Awareness Jamboree and other initiatives that bring positive attention and national exposure to Normandy, showing the world the resilience, talent, and heart that exists here. I am deeply dedicated to serving this district, this community, not just in words, but through action, and I am committed to continue that work by expanding events, increasing resources, and creating opportunities for our youth. I hope my story represents something bigger than football. I represent hope, hard work, perseverance, dedication, and what is possible when a kid from Normandy believes and keep believing. As Normandy's first and only NFL player and the first to be drafted in the first round, I carry the district with pride everywhere I go. Naming the field isn't about honoring me, it's about showing our students that where you start does not limit how far you can go. Thank you for your time, your consideration, and your continuing to invest in the future of Normandy. As you move forward with your decision tonight, or whenever y'all make it, I hope you consider not just my name, but the impact, the consistency, and the message that will be sent to every student who steps onto that field, affirming what's possible for our students when dedication, community, and perseverance are recognized. My commitment to Normandy has never wavered, and it never will. Thank you.
Thank you. How appropriate during this great football season that is upon us at this time. I know many of you are looking forward to the divisional playoffs this weekend, as am I, and most importantly, we're looking forward to the college championship game on Monday night. We know that there are policies and procedures that govern how boards do things, but as it relates to our responsiveness to the community and the will of the voters, we must be expedient. Therefore, I will work with the superintendent and this board to get this matter on the next meeting agenda for a final vote and decision. Let's thank Lawrence Moroney once again for his commitment to this district. Is there a Catrice Roy? Catrice Roy? If there is no Catrice Roy, are there any other public comments for this evening? If not, we appreciate those that have come. Next, we will move right into the superintendent's report. Dr. Triplett, you have the floor.
This time we'll present to the community the update of the... At this time, we'll present to the community the update of the accreditation plan. I received a couple of inquiries from the board, and this is out of one of the inquiries. An update on the accreditation plan was one of the responses. The other responses were addressed given in executive session. But before I go into the accreditation plan, I do want to say that the accreditation plan not only addresses the accreditation plan, but I also want to give an update on our fall culture and climate surveys, because I think it's important that the community know what the data says, who responded, and what we're doing about what the data says. So, of course, I already started with the mission because I truly believe in the mission, and I hope you do too. That's why we're all here. And so, in response to this accreditation plan, falls directly in alignment with Superintendent Goals 1, Focus Area 1, Student Achievement, Focus Area 2, Culture and Climate, Strategic Priority 2, Instruction and Achievement, and Policies 1A, Instructional Goals, Priority Objectives, and IGA, Basic Instructional Programs. So, with regards to the Culture and Climate Fall Survey, we sent that out, I believe, November 6th through October 6th through November 6th. And what was done differently was that we had a lot of more responses. Usually, our responses hover around with parents not even in double digits. Students probably triple digits. Staff always have a really good response rate. This year, the Early Learning Center had 222 students, which represented 11% of our responses. Elementary grades 1 to 5 had 651 student responses, which represented 32 responses, and the secondary schools 6 through 12 had 1,033 responses, representing 51 responses, for a total of 1,906 responses. So I thank all of the staff and administrators at the building level and the students who took the time out to respond to a very important survey. Additionally, we had over 200 parent responses. We would like more, but that's a big difference from where we started. And of course, our teachers had a pretty good response rate. When we took a look at the data, there are a few things that stood out. And from the top 3 takeaways from a student's perspective was safety. Safety was a huge concern, and the younger you were, it seemed like you were more safe the younger you were, and then as you progressed in age, your school began to be a little less safe. Number 2, there's a concern around student-teacher relationships and the care from the teachers to the students, that connectiveness there. 3, there's an issue around cleanliness of the building. So there's an issue that was pointed out there. With regards to staff perception, discipline and climate issues were number 1. Need for clear, consistent expectations across schools were number 2. And greater support needed for SEL and relationships and de-escalating was number 3. With regards to parents, safety and discipline were major concern. Parents want more timely communication from the district, and parents want stronger academic engagement and support. So what does that mean to the district? What are we doing to support the district? In direct response to the Culture and Climate Survey, the district has taken intentional and coordinated actions to strengthen school environments. We're continuing to improve. We've had several meetings around what does SEL mean and how do we support students around SEL? How do we directly support our ELL population? How do we provide staff with de-escalation training, those kinds of things. So we're doing a lot of work around directing our attention to what the data says around culture and climate. So stay tuned, because we will be asking a lot of people for some help around taking care of some of these things that we need, and we're making promises that we need to do in order to support our community, our families, our students, and our staff. So now let's talk about performance. And I want you to pay, do I have a, I guess I don't. I want you to pay attention to the possible points. If you look at the bottom, if you go down the first row, that's what's possible. The middle is what are the points we earned, and the third row are the percentage of points that we earned. So when you look at the 4 years starting in 2022, we earned 55.6% of the points, 23, 54.7% of the points, 24, 55.2% of the points, and 25, 51.0% of the points. Now, I could stomach a little when data flatlines a little bit, but I really can't stomach when it declines. So we got some really, really, really intentional hard work to do. This is pretty small, but this is just a district scorecard that shows you where the points ended up with regards to performance and continuous improvement. Now, what I do know that I think is important to say that there are in these two areas, performance and continuous improvement, this slide tells you what percentage is weighted for performance and improvement. Now, I want to be clear with regards to what does performance and improvement mean, because you always see those two areas there. You see performance, you see continuous improvement. Performance answers the question how students are doing, how are they performing right now? Performance is about the students, what they're doing. It talks about academic proficiency, growth, graduation rates, college and career readiness, and it talks about attendance data. When we talk about continuous improvement, they're talking about systems. What are the things that the district have in place that would help students with performance? Now, why is that important? Because I think it's important that you need to know that districts may demonstrate strong continuous improvement while performance outcomes are still emerging, especially during turnaround and transitional periods. This is where districts get a lot of their help from. Okay, so I wanted to make sure that MSIP 6 does a good job at trying to balance that, because it acknowledges that, especially when you're in turnaround and transformation mode, that you may not be strong in performance as of yet, but you have a lot of opportunity to gain through continuous improvement. So what is the strategy? So when we look at what are the pathways to APR, to achieving those 70% points, I wish I had a pointer. If you look at the maximum points on both areas in performance and continuous improvement, you look at the max points, okay? Those are the maximum amount of points you can get. The next column are the number of points we earned. So if you see the difference between 48-13, 48-18, and so on and so forth, there's a lot of work to be done. There are a lot of formulas that you can choose to get to the score of 70%, but for the sake of us, we thought that there are some things that we could do in hopes that we can gain the points needed for accreditation. But I want to be transparent. It is extremely difficult to project the points that you are going to get, simply because there's a lot of things that play into a formula. There's subgroups, there's attendance, there's a lot of things that play into points. But what we did was we set goal targets. And if you look at the minimum points needed, we kind of just scaled about what we need to make a total percentage point of 60 in this area. So we need 84 points in order to set us on path for accreditation, at least to achieve the score for accreditation. And if you look at the continuous improvement side, we've done fairly well over there. So all we plan to do is keep that area where it is. And if we keep that area where it is, we should get at least 56 points. So if you add 56 and 84, that gives us 140. That puts us right at 70%. That's the goal. That's the plan. Now we know that there may be a possibility we may fall short somewhere, but we may pick up in other places. So that these scores are not finite. They can move, but we hope that we could hold to this and not have to move. But we plan on making making good on these numbers. So here is just, I know these words are really small, but I'll just kind of spell them out now. I do want to say, although this is an overview of the entire plan, the plan itself is not attached. It is attached and diligent for your viewing. If not already, it'll be posted on our website for your viewing. So the plan itself is detailed. This is just a large scale of what the plan says. But first, I want to make sure that you know that it's important that the accreditation plan is not a replacement for the strategic plan. It is not a replacement for the CSIP that's being developed now. Rather, it is an acceleration. So there is some. So a lot of people poured into the strategic plan. A lot of people poured into the CSIP. We didn't do the same thing for the accreditation plan because of time constraints, but we wanted to make sure we had principal input, coaches' input, and other stakeholders' input that we can create a crafted plan that would fit inside of the CSIP plan and the strategic plan. So this plan is no variation from it. The difference is that is how this plan is governed. Is how this plan is monitored, sequenced, and held accountable. We know that the first, people might ask, why does this plan look like the other plans? Well, yeah, it does. It absolutely does. But we know that the first plan, there was a lot of fragmentation, there was a lot of inconsistency, there was a lot of uneven execution. So we want to make sure that this plan really drives what accreditation is, what execution is, what monitoring is, what making sure we're going after the right things are. So this is not a deviation from the strategic plan or the CSIP plan. It's an addition to. It governs, it streamlines what we're doing exactly to go after the things we need to go after. Are there any questions?
At this time, we will entertain any questions from the board. Does anyone have any questions? No, we can start whoever has a question. Would you like to start, Director Roberts? Director Milton Roberts has the floor.
If I can get the microphone to work. Yeah, I guess my first question is, you kind of just addressed it, and that is it looks a lot like, what we were already doing in some aspects. I guess the question that I would ask is, what is transformational about this plan that is going to make us have the ability to achieve what we weren't able to achieve when we initially put the plan together?
So what's transformational about the plan? If you were looking at the plan, you could see on pages 12 and 13, it talks about the roles and responsibilities. The central office staff, or at least the cabinet, is taking more of a strategic role around how do we make sure things are happening at the building level. We increased our monitoring systems. We increased our dashboards so that we can have more conversations around the data and what's happening. We've also taken we've created our own CFAs. They're created off of the ELC release items so that we can make sure we're getting the right type of questions that are being asked on the ELC and MAP. So we're doing a lot of things. We're making identification of students, and we're making sure that we service all of them the way they should be serviced and supported in the classrooms. The one thing we're making sure that happens that does not happen a lot, is that we're making sure that we have interventions inside of the classroom. We do a lot of tutoring and a lot of pulling out, but we need to focus on what's happening in the classroom, because that's where you hit the bulk of the students in the classroom. So our monitoring, we're making sure that we're monitoring, we're inspecting what we expect. We're making sure our cabinet is out in buildings, meeting with principals, having conversations, being at PLCs, making sure we're providing coaching. We're making sure there's a lot of teacher input with regards to what students are doing and how they are doing and what kind of support they need around students. And we're just making sure that we're really tenacious around what the data tells us every time we take interim assessments.
So let me kind of, I'm going to dig a little bit. So I hear what you're saying. It seems like there's more oversight, and that's appreciated. So what is being done differently to support and to get the kids and their families, A, engaged, B, to make them knowledgeable, and C, to support accelerated learning? You mentioned tutoring. So what does that look like?
So tutoring, it could look different at every building level. And so I don't want to take away their ability to be discreet with regards to what they can or cannot do. But what we will do is help them monitor that very closely with numbers and making sure that they have the right amount of tutors. Right now, we're shopping for tutoring entities. I do know that our parent liaison has mentioned that he will be having several night functions to have conversations with parents around what that looks like. I do know principals have started that conversation with some of their parents, and the building, and we're getting ready to send out more communication with parents around the implementation of the accreditation plan.
What about with students?
That's buildings will. I'm sure. I do know at least 2 or 3 buildings had conversations with their students when they returned. That there would be some movement around what it looks like for instructional purposes and for movement in the building, those kinds of things. I do know that what we did at the middle school was we just kind of restructured their schedule and put them on blocks so that they have more instructional time. We put them on block schedule. So now instead of, I think, 60 minutes, they got 90-minute classes so that we can provide more intervention in the classrooms.
So what are we doing to, I mean, one of the things that we know is that for young people, in order to get them to kickstart their learning, you have to jumpstart their brains. And so progressive schools are doing lots of things around that. Things that involve movement, things that involve not longer class time, but project-based and things like that. What are we doing to, I mean, you know, sitting and listening is great, but what are we doing to get the students engaged and excited and for them to have a joyful experience and understand their learning style, et cetera? Because at the end of the day, we as the building folks can ask for a whole lot of stuff. But if the children aren't engaged and trying to do the work, if the children aren't comfortable taking the tests, if the children aren't setting high standards for themselves and wanting to achieve, then all of this is for naught because the actual results are what the children do.
But I think you're asking a question that may have 9,000 answers to.
Okay.
It depends on what teacher is teaching who. That teacher is responsible for what we call the hook, right? What does an anticipatory set looks like in your classroom to capture students and make them want to learn? I think you're asking a question that has 1,000 answers, and although I could give you an answer, it may not represent 99% of the teachers who are actually teaching. I can give you the stuff, the support, and all of that, but I can't teach it. The teachers teach it.
Oh, no, I agree with that. I guess, and I'm going to let somebody else question, but I guess when, one of the things that we know is that our children have a very short attention span based on social media, things of that nature. One of the things we know is that they do not get enough outdoor time, they do not get enough exercise, they do not get enough reflection, they do not get enough hands-on. So those are all things that we know statistically and through research that help to elevate test scores and engagement. And so my question is, again, what are we doing for the children that is going to make them want to be more engaged in this process? Because it is not a top-down process. It is a everybody working together process, which involves the children, their families being told how to help them, and the teachers. And then the office is really just the folks that are helping to, you know, pull everything together. The teachers are the folks that have to make this work. So I'm still not hearing.
I don't have an answer for you because that's an answer with that's a question with 1,000 answers. That question would be best asked by teachers. What are you doing? Because I'm not teaching students.
Okay, I know, but have we asked the teachers and the principals what it is we need to do to better engage our students, which in some instances, they're walking through the halls and you can tell that they're not engaged. So have we asked them, what is it we need to do about
I
that?
think things will develop as things happen. And as we move through the timeline, the implementation timeline, I think more questions will be asked. I think more questions will be answered. And so I personally haven't asked a teacher that question because I understand what classrooms look like and feel like and what anticipatory sets look like and how do you capture students. I understand all of those things. And so I know that to provide you with an answer from this seat is more difficult than providing you with an answer in a teacher's seat.
Okay, I'll let somebody else ask questions, and I look forward to coming back to that conversation because I think the engagement of the students is really where, that's the sweet spot. That's
Yeah, and again, that's through teacher interaction with students.
It's through teacher interaction, but it's also through us determining what type of district we have, whether we are doing classical training or whether we're doing the Socratic method, whether we're doing multiple intelligences, whether we're doing Montessori, whether we're doing project-based, all of those things, which all can be put into play to help to drive the educational process we want for our children. So I think those are conversations that we need to be having. Okay? I'll let someone else ask a question.
Dr. Petty.
The chair recognizes Director William Humphrey.
I guess as I look at the plan, and one of the things I would like for you to do, you probably won't be able to fully address it tonight because a large part of what I'm going to say has budget implications. I know that at early childhood, part of the reason that they're having some of the successes that they're having is because they have teachers and assistants in the different rooms assisting kids in their learning, because we know that the model that they have in place has shown some success, because I think the first year they had like 70% of the kids coming out reading on level. I think last year was like 74. And so I think that the thing that we need to take a much closer look at is what does the MTSS multi-tier system of support looks like at the middle school and the high school, because those are areas, you know, you have a lot of areas where kids are multiple years behind, but we have to be very intentional about how we staff the support that's going to help kids to improve. So I know that you don't necessarily have an answer for tonight, but I do think we need to take a very focused look at what does the staffing look like and what will the budget implications be to put in place a system. Because one of the things that I would like to hear that I haven't really heard is I need to hear from the principals and the teachers about what they need in the buildings. You know, I hear that they've been contacted and they've had some input, but I'm a firm believer in geometry. The shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line. I need to be able to hear from the people that are doing the work, what is it that you need? Because ultimately, if we need to make adjustments to the budget, this is the place that we do it, but we need to have a clear understanding of what it's going to take to move kids. So I'll just stop there. So if you have any response now, but I think we need to look at that whole area a little closer.
So I will say this, that, and I did mention earlier that the accreditation plan is not does not supersede the strategic plan.
Right.
So all of that you're talking about is in the strategic plan.
Okay.
This is just an accelerated plan that fits inside of the CSIP, the developing CSIP, and the strategic plan. So this is not a document that's in isolation. Also, yes, we do understand that there is some budget impact. So what we don't have now is what are those resources? Those are the things we're gathering now. What are those resources? But the district has set aside $200,000 to address those resources. But what you're talking about is a bigger part of the plan, is a part of the strategic plan, and not necessarily that whole thing is not captured in the accreditation plan. We're focusing on how are we going to get the points right now that we need for the next 4 months for students when they test.
Okay.
I ask we recognize President.
The chair recognizes Vice President Teresa Pearson.
So I have a few questions and a few comments, Dr. Triplett. I know that you've probably said it before, But what exactly is the CFA? I keep forgetting the acronym.
That's a common formative assessment. That's an assessment that's created by staff.
Okay. The second one was after looking in this information, it says data scrubbing and verification. I understand the activities that goes in the data scrubbing. I would suggest, and maybe that's the term that we use in the educational field. I do not have an educational background, but I would suggest that we use correction. Because when people look at scrubbing, they think that you're hiding something when you're basically making corrections on the entries of attendance when it comes to this information that I'm speaking here. We have a strategic plan community forum coming up January 22nd. My personal ask is that the teachers and the principals in the audience, if you all can join us that day to give your input, because that's where it's needed. That's what it's for, so that we can find out what do we need, so that we can make the correct budget, so that we can make the correct changes, so we can put the people in the correct places. Thank you, Dr. Triplett.
Are there any other questions from the board? The chair recognizes Director Davis Day.
Thank you. Good evening. I do have some questions. I have questions around safety and cleanliness. So if children don't feel safe, then their minds don't allow them to learn. So what are we doing about safety and cleanliness? If the kids are sick, then they can't come to school.
Cleaning and keeping them safe. I'm just kidding. So, with regards to safety, I talked to the director of safety and security today, just kind of streamline on which elementary school is having the most disturbances. So with that, we're going to station at least our afternoon officer at one school and then another safety officer at another school. The conversations has been had with building principals. What are we doing, and what is our response time to our Centegix badges? So I think that we have to be more intentional around providing professional development to staff when there are issues in the class, outside of the class, that we really are in tune with clicking that button, but making sure we click the button the right way, not 8 times that sends the whole building in lockdown, but 3 times that provides immediate attention to that area. We've adopted this Centegix plan almost a year and a half ago, and I can say with 1,000% certainty it's working. In 2023, we had more than 3,000 out-of-school suspensions. Last year, we ended the year with 321. I think we had maybe 1 staff infraction. We didn't have any. We had multiple before then. Student instances of cell phones also helped. We don't have a lot of instances around cell phones. I see a lot of building administrators and a lot of staff being in the hallways. So we just have to increase adult presence in the hallways to make sure we're attending to and monitoring what we should be monitoring and attending to. Our students play a lot. And so we have to make sure that, with horseplay comes fighting and comes other things. So we just have to make sure we're present in the buildings, and our principals know that. We actually have a building principal meeting Thursday that we'll be having some more conversations around the strategic plan, around what that looks like. But I think, in my opinion, do we need work? Absolutely. We also need work in our custodian. We're starting to pick up traction with hiring our custodians. And so with that comes, additional cleaning and all those kinds of things. Are we lacking? Absolutely. Or can we get better? Absolutely. So that's just another conversation with what that looks like to get better, and do some more planning around what holiday seasons look like and cleaning looks like.
Do you have a plan for addressing teacher burnout?
No, I don't have a plan for addressing teacher burnout, but we do have a health and wellness piece that we have twice a year with staff to give them some reprieve away and do some things for mental health.
Thank you.
The chair recognizes Secretary Violet Taylor.
Good evening, Dr.
Good evening.
Triplett. I've noticing on the accreditation implementation timeline, you have the weekly cabinet school walkthroughs. I also notice each week when you send out the weekly report, it shows that there are walkthroughs. These are performed by,
So our weekly, we are performed by cabinet members and building level administrators.
Okay.
And whoever else want to walk, which is just
Okay.
instructional walks.
how much time is spent on these walkthroughs?
We typically spend about almost 2 hours. What we do is we walk through several classes, and then we reflect and give the building principal some reflections to have a conversation with his teachers.
That's the
his
2
art
hours
teachers.
per school?
Yeah.
Okay, 2 hours per school.
Every
And-
walkthrough, we have about 2
Okay.
hours.
And one last question. Are there any pros or cons that you're receiving during these walkthroughs?
Yes. Some of the pros are centered around teachers are actually teaching.
Okay.
I would like to see more engagement from students. I think teachers are doing a lot of heavy lifting.
Okay.
I would like to see more in-class intervention. Students are responding well to teachers. There's no rowdiness in classrooms. I think teachers are doing a great job with, in my opinion, building relationships with students. You can tell because of the way they're greeted at the door. I see a lot of teachers standing outside of their door welcoming students, and students are really just that the way they greet each other just is refreshing. It tells me that there is a relationship being built with students and teachers. So I see that there are some pros and cons. There's no cons that are egregious around culture and climate, but is there work to be done? Absolutely.
Okay. And then another question on top of the question Director Dave just asked regarding the teacher burnout. Do you ever see that?
Well,
I mean, physically see
I'm
that?
burnt out.
Okay.
So let me start there.
Okay. But that would be a yes.
Yeah. So and recognizing that, and so my conversation, and so I'm starting to renew my relationship with the union. Okay. And so with Mr. Word, and matter of fact, I think we have a meeting tomorrow, Wednesday, but that's just a conversation piece to just kind of hear what's going on in the buildings. I also had conversations with at least a principal, I think yesterday or somebody yesterday, to start allowing their building reps to walk the buildings and be in our walkthroughs so that they can see exactly what we see when we go in classrooms. But some teachers do reach out to HR, and they do access the employee assistance program around burnout. But we want to make sure that we hear them, and that's why we have those 2 events. We started last year with one event, and then we did one this fall. We have another one this spring around emotional support for teachers, to just have them relax and have fun and those kinds of things.
I wanted to ask that question because I know Director Milton Roberts, she often refers to what is it that we can do to help in the classrooms. And so we don't want the teachers to come to a point where they are at a burnout. We wouldn't want anyone to just come in today or tomorrow and say, I've had enough. And so if there's something that, can be done, if there are some kind of signs that you're seeing, you mentioned about the health and wellness twice a year. Maybe there is someone that they can talk to throughout the year in case they're feeling a burnout or they're feeling like I'm overwhelmed at this point. Because sometimes things do happen in our lives and it'll push you, whereas someone else may be able to handle it and another person they may not. So if there is anything that we can do, we want to make sure that the teachers, and we often say that, we want the staff to know that the board, we are concerned about you all, and if it's anything that we can do, if we can get you to help, that's why we keep asking. It may sound like it's tough questions when we ask, is there something we can do? But we are concerned about that because we don't want to lose teachers. We don't want to lose teachers. Even in our meeting today, earlier, the question was asked, how many positions are there currently vacant. So we want to fill those positions, and we don't want people to come to the district, and we don't want them to be burned out. We want you to be excited about coming to school and educating our children. Thank you.
Amen. That's right. Go ahead.
The chair recognizes Director Milton Roberts.
I guess I just want to give you a couple of thoughts. So when you're talking about safety, you brought up Centegix and things of that nature. So one of the questions that I would ask is, have you considered that perhaps the question, the answer to your question is not about things like Centegix, but rather is about psychological safety? Especially because you're talking about the safety becoming less as they get older, okay? One of the things that happens with students is that, you have the bullying, you have the, this group's in, this group's out, that kind of thing. And so I think when we talk about safety, we have to be very cognizant of the fact that a child or a principal or even a teacher may say safety, but it's not just meaning physical safety, but rather psychological safety and making sure that we are addressing teachable moments as they happen around discipline and things of that nature. So I would, I'm going to throw a volleyball to you and say, as you're looking at safety, to consider that. The other thing that you mentioned was cleanliness. And so I guess the question that I would ask there is, when you say cleanliness, is it, you're looking at it, I think, and you were saying that the secondary level, middle and high school. And so the question that I would ask there is, have you done the analysis to see specifically where you're getting those comments? And are those comments coming from one particular building? Because we have one older building that's in play, and then we have a newer building that, doesn't have those issues. So it could be that your data is being brought down by the building that those students are in, if that has not been addressed. The last thing that I would say, and I think this is really critically important that we continue to say this, and Director Taylor, thank you for bringing this up. Our most valuable asset in our district is not any of the buildings. The most valuable asset that we have in this district are our teachers and the building principals and administrators. And so if there are things that we need to do, programming, whatever it may be, that we need to do to help them to achieve this, you need to let us know what that is so we can support you in getting that done. Okay, whatever, if it's if there's a cost to it, okay, fine. But we need to make sure that they know that we know that they're critical to this plan. And also, I think we need to be very proactive and positive in how we support the teachers and the building administrators. We need as much positivity, as much support, as much grace as we can possibly give to all those folks that are going to be doing this heavy lift. And there's going to be some misses, and we're going to have to learn how to take every miss and turn that into a lesson that we can make into a success. Because unless you have some misses, you're never going to have some successes. So I don't want teachers to be afraid to take a chance on doing something because maybe there's a miss. Okay, we need to make sure that we're trying things and capturing things and saying this is what works and this is what doesn't. So I'm going to stop.
The chair recognizes Director William Humphrey.
Dr. Triplett, I think one of the things that as I look at the back page of the accreditation plan, it actually has an APR data dashboard. And I think it would be helpful if this particular sheet, the one I'm looking at, is called Normandy School District's College and Career Readiness APR Data Dashboard. If we could actually expand this to show, because when DESE comes in to do their review, they're going to be looking at 3 years of data. So I would ask that we add the 2 prior years of data. We actually populate these documents so they have the last 2 years of data. And so as we start to populate things for 26, we're in a better position to understand, what kind of trajectory we're on. And I guess the other question is that as we look at the data dashboard, in terms of giving feedback to the board, how often do you anticipate giving updates to the board around the path towards accreditation? What does that look like from your vantage point?
So to answer both of your questions, box checked on your first question. We already do that. With regards to data being housed, this dashboard populated, we have that. With regards to your second question, some kind of update monthly.
Okay, and I guess I appreciate the fact.
I'm sorry, weekly, because of the board, the president wants, one of his inquiries or requests was to make sure I apprise the board weekly on what's going on accreditation-wise.
Okay,
and then we'll still do it monthly for the community.
Right, and I think with my comment, if the data is already in place, I think the board would like to see that data. If it's already
You
there.
saw that data. You saw that data during my summative evaluation. You saw it twice.
Okay. Well, I'm simply saying when we start doing whatever the updates are, I think it's important that we keep a look at all the data at all times. So that's all I'm going to say.
Thank you, Director Humphrey, and thank you to the entire board for the questions and also the support rendered here for the superintendent and the work that he's doing. The conversations around teachers, that's a perfect segue into item 6.02. Dr. Triplett, take it away with the update with the NEA and our IBB agreement.
So there's really no update as of yet. I do have a meeting scheduled. Is it tomorrow with the NNEA and the district to just kind of figure out what's going on and what's next. We do know that that the NNEA is seeking out. I don't want to say arbitrary. I forgot the word, but
Mediator.
Mediator. They're seeking out mediation to help us with this conversation. So we'll see what comes out of that meeting Monday, but I'll keep the board apprised of what happens in it.
And do you anticipate having calendarized meetings with the NEA?
Absolutely, it's already on the calendar.
Thank you. Board, any questions in that regard?
I have one question.
The chair recognizes Vice President Pearson.
For anyone who attends the meeting, please make sure they take detailed notes.
Attends.
The meeting with you and NEA and the mediator.
Oh, it won't be. It'll be the committees, the NEA side and the Normandy Schools Collaborative side, the whole team that we'll be meeting with.
I just don't want anything from the past to reoccur.
We got it covered. Yes, ma'am. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Dr. Triplett, strategic plan conversation, anything on that?
No new updates with the strategic plan. But the CSIP plan, again, we have a community forum this week to get input from the community. I do know that last Monday, Dr. Hendricks Harris, who's facilitating our CSIP plan, met in the buildings and got input from teachers. And so it is underway.
And updates for the Early Learning Center.
The Early Learning Center, we began moving in over the Christmas break. We do have some small things to take care of, I believe. Students came back, I believe, Thursday. And I haven't heard any I haven't heard any bad instances, but Dr. Payne keeps me updated with any needs he has. We do have some things we have had to order more of. So he keeps me abreast of, and I'll update the board on each week as he updates me on those things.
I see we have Dr. Payne here with us tonight, the administrator for the Early Learning Center. Let's just give him a big round of applause for.
Heroic, actually.
And at some point, Dr. Triplett, the board would entertain an invitation to tour the facility and see the work and bear witness to the children being back into their assigned classrooms and see the great work that Dr. Payne and his team are doing there at the Early Learning Center. At this time, we will move into item 6.03. I'd like to call Dr. Tony Brooks forward to give us a program evaluation update. Good evening, Dr. Brooks.
Good evening, sir. Good evening, Dr. Triplett, Mrs. Rigsby, President Petty, and the Board of Education.
Good evening.
Tonight, I'm going to briefly talk about the MOU review process. There are two primary components. One is the vetting process of MOUs, and the other is the evaluation of MOUs. Through the vetting process with our partner, Beyond Housing, we currently have 18 legally approved MOUs. We have 2 that are up tonight that'll total 18, but 18 that have been approved through our legal team. And these partners, as we know, they serve all of our students here in Normandy. We cover 5 different categories in supporting the whole child. We look at the mental health, physical health of our students, meeting their basic needs, parent and family engagement, and also academic supports. Regarding the vetting process, we first start with our wraparound partners submitting an MOU, a Memorandum of Understanding. Next, along with Beyond Housing, specifically Ms. Julia Banke, we work to ensure every component of the partnering organization's MOU is provided before it's submitted to Attorney Smith for legal review. After we submit the MOU and it is reviewed by Attorney Smith, it's reviewed by us, Student Support Services, and also Beyond Housing. We make sure that we fill any kind of gaps, and then we prepare it for approval via the board president. After the board president reviews it, after Dr. Triplett reviews it as well, then we submit it to the Board of Education for approval. At that point, we talk, we discuss, we have MOU representatives, we have partners like we do tonight, come and they speak and they ask any kind of questions. Regarding the evaluation of MOUs, we meet 4 times a quarter, 4 times a year, every quarter, in person with all partners that we have MOUs with. At these meetings, we talk about different aspects impacting what they're doing with our students in addition to how it relates to the evaluation process. We look at data and artifacts, and we do that again throughout the year, even when we're not meeting in person. At the end of the year, in spring, we take an opportunity to give all of our partners an evaluation, a self-evaluation. They bring that to the table, and we consider that when we give an end of the year evaluation as well. And again, we do that with Student Support Services in collaboration with Beyond Housing, based on a predetermined set of expectations. This is done in the spring, specifically in April. If we find that the partnership has proven to be beneficial to all of our students and our community, we consider renewing the MOU for the upcoming year. MOUs, they impact our district's accreditation. How do they do that? They do that by removing barriers that impede on our students' ability to be successful in getting to school, being at school, and being taken care of after school. They impact learning. They impact them being involved in other activities as well. They play a crucial role in meeting the needs of our students and their families outside of school as well. The district's relationship with our partners, it continues to grow, it continues to morph and do things that we are finding that our students need that are different every day. And lastly, we, regarding the MOU process, make sure that we consider any outside variables that we may not consider at the beginning, and we try to improve this process every year. Even this year, it's morphed multiple times to have multiple steps so that we have clarity and then we can have different people speak to it before we make it here. That's why Dr. Petty gets involved as well as Dr. Triplett. That's all I have for the review process. Any questions?
I would like to be recognized.
Chair recognizes Vice President Pearson.
Good evening, Dr. Brooks.
Good evening, Ms. Pearson.
You stated that the support from the MOUs come mentally, physically, family engagement, academic support. What was the last one? Because I think I missed it.
Academic supports.
Oh, so it was only 4? It wasn't 5?
Mental health, physical health, basic needs.
Basic needs. That's what I missed. Okay, thank you.
No, and basic needs are basically when we have to wash students' clothes at school. We do what we have to do, so we have people who help us with different supplies as well as uniforms, things like that.
Yes, I'm familiar with the process. I've seen it in action with a few students while visiting one of the schools.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
No problem.
The chair recognizes Director Milton Roberts.
Hello, thank you for sharing the process. I'm happy to hear that we now have a set process. A question that I would ask is, you shared that you do the evaluation in April. And so the question that I have is, will we be able to now meet our timeline, if you will, of having our MOUs for review and approval in the June-July timeframe so that those processes can begin when the school year starts?
Yes, ma'am, as long as we don't have any adjustments. We were prepared this year, but we had adjustments during that time to make it like right now, it's January and we're still approving
Right.
MOUs. So as long as we stick with the script that we have now, we're ready to be able to present all of those at the beginning of the year.
Okay. And then I heard Dr. Triplett mention earlier that he was looking at tutoring and such. Is that also something that we will be able to confirm, that at the beginning of the school year next year, that will be before care, after care, and tutoring will be in place when the students start, and we will be able to then begin that support process immediately?
Yes, ma'am. We actually have tutoring going on right now. The biggest push right now is for us to have tutoring during the day. We want additional engagement with students in the day where we can have people push in. We focus on our students that are considered bubble students, students that are really close to the next proficient level. And we're trying to focus to give a great push to them. So we're trying to not just look at before and after, but we're trying to meet the needs of the students during the day as well.
When I say before and after, I don't mean just tutoring, I mean before and after care. Because if we're saying that we have a challenge with attendance, then it seems as though there should be some analysis done as to the impacts of not having before and after care. Both, the parents having to go to work and so forth, but also how does that impact your high school? Do they have to go home to meet children and so forth because there's not, before and after care? And then I agree with you on having academic support, that's what I would call it, during the day. And the question that I would ask again is, can we get those supports in place so that we're not in January talking about, a semester that's been lost? And that's not a process thing. It's trying to figure out what does it look like in building it for Normandy.
Right, so if you're saying, can we work on making sure that we have before and after care at the beginning of the year? Yes,
Yeah, okay, thank you.
no problem.
The chair recognizes Director William Humphrey.
Just the process that you reviewed, can you make sure that we have a copy of that so we can further reflect on it and review it later? Thank you.
Yes, this is a snapshot, so I will share a more detailed version with you all.
Okay, thank you.
No problem.
Dr. Brooks, thank you for your presentation. If there are no other additional questions, we thank Dr. Brooks for being here tonight. We thank him for his presentation. That's a perfect segue into item 6.04. And Dr. Triplett, I think it will suffice to say that what has already been spoken to tonight in terms of the district exploring options of tutoring in terms of making sure that our students' needs are met while they're in the classroom. That's a focus. You've also heard from the board that there is a focus needed in terms of before and after care. And of course, you and I have discussed specialized tutoring in terms of tutoring programs that specifically focus on content areas such as algebra and making sure that middle school students transition successfully into the high school to be able to take that critical core content area of Algebra 1. So it will suffice, unless you have further comment, that you understand that these things are underway, and in short order, the board will be looking to hear about it. The chair recognizes Director Milton Roberts.
Yes, we have one other content area that we really need to make sure that we have our arms around, and that's our English language learners, to ensure that we are on target as relates to the support in each school, and that we are providing the students with devices that they can translate from Spanish to English and English to Spanish. My understanding is they're like $20 nowadays. And also to make sure also that we are communicating to their parents in a way that they can understand about their student and their student's success.
So thank you for that one. And I do want to just kind of address that one. We did walk through the high school last week, I believe, and we recognized that some of our students who were not as engaged were ELL. And we did ponder over the idea around one of those pen translators, and so we're in conversation with that. The other thing is we've hired, I think, 2 more ELL teachers, and one is an ELL coach. So we have that expertise that lends with us as well. So we are paying attention to that population of students.
And the same for tutoring as well, because we don't want to do tutoring for one group and not have
Yeah,
the same
we
things for others.
we got that.
Dr. Petty.
The chair recognizes Director William Humphrey.
Dr. Triplett, I was just going to mention very quickly, if you're looking for resources for the ELL, there is an app called Google Translate, and it's actually free. Yeah. I used it last week because I had a Spanish-speaking
It didn't
contractor.
help you?
Well,
It didn't help you?
yo hablo español.
Un poco, muy bien.
No,
Mr. Humphreys, the translator on your phone for free already.
For real.
No, but really, I was working with a roofing contractor who was Spanish. He spoke no English. And so we were able to communicate using Google Translate to get the work done.
Right. I think the opportunity for our kids is that they can't communicate with them in the hall, so you see them congregating with each other because they can't communicate with their peers. And so there's an opportunity for the translators there, but there's also an opportunity for social emotional learning as well as learning about different cultures, both with our teachers from other countries as well as those students, and getting them involved in sports because some of them are very, very, very acclimated to playing soccer and things like that, and that's an opportunity for those kids to do almost like a foreign exchange, if you will.
I used to hang out in the hallways with my friends.
Thank you. At this time, we'd like to ask the high school principal, Dr. Gerald Nave, to make his way to the podium for agenda item number 6.05, high school update and report. Good evening, Dr. Nave.
Good evening, Board President, to our board, to our superintendent, and to our illustrious footprint. How's everybody doing?
Wow.
Good evening.
I'm Dr. Gerald Nave Jr., proud principal of Normandy High School, and today I'm going to be presenting to you goals that we have, aggressive goals that we have moving forward with all of those communications that our superintendent stated we are starting to implement, as we've been implementing, but we're starting to be more aggressive in finding what we need and getting those things to the district, but also supporting teachers. So let me get to it. Actual enrollment, 623. And I'll just read this one verbatim because I want you to know where we're going. Purpose and outcomes for Normandy High School. I am here to clarify where we are with EOC testing and our MPI targets, showing where we are, but most importantly, where we must go, explaining strategies to reach and exceed goals, aligning student success efforts to accountability points. I'm going to be looking back and forth with what my glasses allow me to do. So ELC has 4 areas. Algebra 1, as you just alluded to before I came up, Dr. Petty. English 2, as you alluded to, Ms. Milton Roberts, and biology and government. And I don't really like to look at baseline because I'm going to let you know where we're going. We were emerging, had participation points, emerging and participation points. But for us to move the needle, not just for the state, but for us and for our scholars, we have to have aggressive goals. And our MPI target aggressive goal is 381. And by doing so, we're in the process of working very hard, my team and I, working with our teachers, to make certain, and our counselors, to make certain that we have 95% of our scholars in each of these areas by the numbers to test so that we can get, the jargon is low-hanging fruit, but get the points that we deserve, that we can get while we're working on the academia piece, because both are important. We need you to be here and we need you to participate. We know that 95% is what the state set, so that's where we are. As Dr. Triplett alluded to earlier, there is a formula. You guys have this, and I just wanted you to know the formula. But again, in those EOC performance breakdown areas, the breakdown is for basic receiving 3 points per the state, proficient receives 4 points, and advanced receives 5. But in the midst of that, the team and I, we understand the math to get that 381 with the number of scholars participating in these particular areas. We have to have at least 75. Now, I know that number is high, but we also have to have some version of realistic, to be realistic. So 75 scholars in basic scoring and 57 in proficient and 42 in advanced. That math says that we will reach the ultimate goal, not having to be in emerging, but being where we need to be to get the points that, again, our students deserve with the work that they're doing, especially with our teachers working with them and the support that I get from my team and that they get from me. So ELA, 60 scholars, 70 in proficient, 30 in advanced, 55 in science, 47 proficient, and 30 in advanced. If we get these numbers, well, I won't say if. This is your 3 for me. When we get these numbers of participation points by our hard work, not just working with the counselors and the teachers, but our FAIL, who works tremendously hard in the building, our counselors, as we track down scholars, our interventionists, working to find those scholars, and if they aren't at school, making sure that they get to school, continue to work diligently in trying to get our scholars in school so that they can test and be familiarized with the test and also with the processes in the classroom, being there consistently. Optimizing points and how we get better. I won't read everyone, but if you guys have a question about any one of them when I finish, I look forward to that. But the most important, expanding our CCR opportunities. And I will say, what that means is basically our screening processes, I won't say being more aggressive, but paying more note to those, working with counselors to make sure that our screening process does not omit a student who's on the brink or on the bubble who may not believe that they can be a part of such a program, but no, you can. Monitoring daily, as the superintendent stated, weekly. Movement of students from basic to proficient, which is a great impact on MPI, Missouri Performance Index, and testing 95, again, as I said, % of our scholars, which if you don't do that, you push yourself into a level not determined. And I will be transparent. When we started this work 3 years ago, there was a lot of cleanup and finding scholars that we didn't lose. But we are working very diligently over there at the high school. Not just me, I'm the face, but our teachers, our counselors, our custodial staff, everyone, our interventionists, our counselors, we work as a team, and we have become a team and a family, and we are serious about being diligent and moving our scholars forward socially, emotionally, and academically. How we get there, instructional strategies and interventions. We've mentioned some of those tonight. I know I'll start with the last one, push in, pull out instruction. Right now, we have an interventionist who is a certificated math, former administrator, who is working with Dr. Petty and family, our Algebra 1 scholars, in doing the push in, pull out. This is something that we started maybe 4 or 5 weeks ago before this plan, and it's something that we need to do continuously. Peer-to-peer collaboration. If you guys visit during a time, it's a certain time, whether it's the middle, beginning, or end, we walked in to classrooms with the superintendent and his cabinet, but also as we do collegial walks, my team and I, and we do our individual walks, you'll see more peer-to-peer collaboration where our math scholars are at the different whiteboards. So I'm very happy and proud to see that process because they are teaching each other from their learning. And as Ms. Middle-Roberts, as you always say, they learn more from each other than they can learn from us. The tutoring, we talked about the tutoring earlier, but I am going to push, I guess I'm a little old school, I do want to see rotated stations, Ms. Milton-Roberts, because that does give a little bit of movement. You're not going to have the movement that you have in high school, but if you have stations, and I was a high school teacher, you can get a little movement. Recruitment and enrollment. I got ahead of myself. I already talked about the recruitment and enrollment, but working heavily with the counselors, CCR fairs hosted by students. You say, what are we doing with students? Now we have communicated that we need to work with our students as we position them to be able to speak the tone and the verbiage of who they are and what they are, and they can recruit, again, their peers better than we can. Career and technical education advisory committees, and I believe, we will do a better job, and I'm very transparent with myself. I will be working closer with my middle school partner and friend and colleague to create a pipeline that we can be proud of. Because at the end of the day, we have isolated conversations where we're suffering together. Well, let's work with each other so we can get out of that suffrage. Success-ready performance scores, CCR assessments, ACT, SAT, Work Keys, Accuplacer, and ASVAB. Right now, I won't say right now. We've been working hard at this. The numbers aren't what we want them to be, but we have not walked into the building and not worked on having every senior take the courses. But right now, we're trying to get every senior to take 2 of these because that's a mandate. But you know what? If it wasn't a mandate, we would push it because scholars need to have balance and choices. You can take 3, you won't get penalized, but we at least need 2. I am proud to say within the last 2 days, we've had our Accuplacer test, and we have 89 of the 157 scholars that are seniors who have taken that thus far. And we are collecting this information on our data tracker. And in other conversations, if I'm up here again, I will let you know where we are with all of the others. But we are working aggressive to try to make certain, not just for points, but the scholars are able to build their resume and get what they want and what they need. Advanced coursework, advanced placement classes and assessments, stackable credentials. That's not a term that's used all the time, but stackable credentials are when you're able to, as we learned in our guided coalition through our coach that is over CTE, when you have to take 1 or more module and you can get 1 or 2 more credentialed certifications. Dual credit, dual enrollment, we do have that where scholars don't have to leave the building to get college credit, and some they do leave doing dual enrollment. So we have everything, we have the space, we have the committed teachers. There are some things that we do need that we'll talk about later, but right now we have everything we need to get the ball rolling as we already have. Graduation rate. we talk about cohorts and not just how many we graduate in the class. So we have based on our 9th grade cohort, we have 158 of 187 scholars who are currently at Normandy High School. 29 of our scholars are on the D1 list who have left the district. And again, that work is not work that is done by myself. By myself, that work is done with our attendance team. That work is done with FAILS. That work is done with counselors and teachers who give reference of scholars, who they haven't seen. So the follow-up graduation rates, college enrollment, trade and technical, employment and military services, these are where we have to be more aggressive, I would say, in the summertime and throughout the year of trying to find those scholars where they are. This is the where they are piece. And once we find them, the most important thing is to code it correctly. And hopefully and prayerfully, we can code it with college enrollment, trade, employment, and/or military, and not the others that I will not speak about. Leadership actions that positively influence our Missouri Performance Index. Establishing building-wide instructional expectations aligned with standards. This is monitoring classroom instruction regularly with actionable feedback, which we do. My team and I, we do walkthroughs every week, and we have conversations. So on Tuesday, we have our administration meeting, but right directly after that, we have an instructional and culture and climate meeting where we communicate about the feedback and about trends that we are possibly seeing that we may need to accentuate communication to teachers, whether it's, I won't say positive or negative, whether it's something that we ask them to continue to do or something that we may have some insight that they may possibly change in regards to their strategies or their teaching. Implement data team meetings to track students' progress. Well, I put implement, but we're already doing that. We've been doing that, but I would say this year we're doing a much better job at our data tracking. Teachers are more comfortable with the tracking system. We had our international teachers that started just last October. Some of them are all had to move right into the space of department chair. So right now, we are in a comfortable space where everyone is transparent and learning from each other and understanding the intentionality that is needed for our work for our babies. Ensuring assessment conditions are optimal. That's just a beautiful sentence that said we're going to make the environment a better environment, not just for testing, but for learning and safety and cleanliness. I'm welcoming any questions from my illustrious board.
Dr. Nave, thank you for your presentation. My compliments. I know that my board colleagues have questions for you. Before I yield the floor to them for those questions, I need to share with you the very survival of this district is largely dependent upon what you've just described. When you meet the goals that you've outlined in this plan, we can all cry together.
Yes, sir.
If you don't meet the goals,
We can all cry together.
we can all cry together.
I want to be crying, I'm blowing a fig.
So what I want to say to you tonight, you've got to let us know what you need to get this done. There are no obstacles, there are no barriers that should prevent you from holding this board accountable to make sure you can do the work, do the secondary level work that's a part of the survival of this district. It is that serious.
Yes, sir.
With that being said, I will yield the floor to my board colleagues for questions. I recognize Vice President Teresa Pearson.
Good evening, Dr. Nave.
Good evening.
I see that it was obtaining points. It says align resources to accountability impact. What does that look like?
Holding, as Dr. Petty said, holding ourselves accountable for the number of scholars that we know we have to test, holding ourselves accountable for making certain that teachers have everything that they need in those professional learning communities. And I chose to work with my department chairs as a guided coalition so that we meet and they can share together, share with me, I share with my team, so that we can talk about those common formative assessments and where those students are, or where, as you alluded to earlier, where they're missing. So it's actually observing the work being done, monitoring the work being done, but also seeing what we're missing so we can find successes. And through our walkthroughs and through our professional learning communities, honestly, that's where that work is being done. That's where that work has to be done, and then they take that work to the classroom. But also being truly intentional with those bubble students that Dr. Brooks talked about, and creating an environment where we're not waiting for after-school tutoring, but that tutoring within the realm of the high school, where I talked about the push-in, pull-out. And that is going to take bodies, because that's where scholars are able to be pulled out and be comfortable when they don't know. Right. And get that edge and be able to go back and do.
Okay, so the resources would be tutoring, holding everyone accountable for the positions that they're in, including the students and the parents. Because I heard you say students and teachers, but I didn't hear anything about the parents, because we want to hold everybody accountable so that our students can be great. We mentioned earlier today that our biggest assets are our teachers and our administrators. Our biggest asset are also our students, because they go out to be the citizens like all of us out here. So that's one point, just a advice, comment, gesture. Don't forget the parents too, so that everybody can play a part in us getting the full accreditation, because as Dr. Petty stated, the accreditation, in so many words, is sitting on the shoulders of Normandy High School. And we gotta make it work.
And yes, ma'am, I didn't mention the parents, but I work very closely with our district parent liaison. He sits in my attendance meetings, but also we have conversations about how we can get our parents more involved, because what we're communicating to you, my plan is to utilize the facility and have parents come so that we can share with them where we're going. And you're right. We can make it far, but we can only make it so far without parental support. And that's not just the high school, that's every school.
That's every school, that's the whole district.
Yes, ma'am. So you're right, and but to let you know, I'm working very closely with our parent liaison and trying to get some formats of doing things outside of what he does just for the district, but how we can continue to do things more frequently at the high school in the evenings, because everybody doesn't get off at 3 o'clock.
Right.
Yes, I want to correct myself. I also forgot to mention the community, because without the community, there wouldn't be a school. And there's 22 communities that's connected to our school. Let's make sure we add them also, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you, Vice President Pearson. The chair recognizes Director Humphrey.
Just had a quick question. How many AP courses do you currently offer at the high school?
8.
The chair recognizes Director Milton Roberts.
First off, thank you for your presentation.
Yes, ma'am.
And I've been privileged, because I'm a part of your guided coalition, of actually seeing you in action. And I wanted to say that I really appreciate that opportunity, but also I really want to appreciate the teachers that have presented during that opportunity, because I can see how hard they're actually working to understand, literally question by question, bit by bit, what the students need to know. So I appreciate that. a question that I want to ask. I know that you're talking about the CCR process, and so one of the things that I'd like to understand is our CCR coordinator and our counselors, have they been working together to develop a plan for all of the various testing, like the ASVAB, which we can offer many, many times, because, if we can do that, we can get those numbers. The other piece of that is, because those are not like privileged student information, that could be a contest. That could be something that we talk to the students about and say, hey, we want everybody to take, there's these 4 opportunities. You say you have to have 2, but maybe everybody tries to do 3, and that's a competition and everybody does it, okay? Because that will drive a point. And then the important part of that is to let them know that they are helping to get us a point, okay? Because it's not just a frivolous thing, but rather they're helping to drive the accreditation. I think if we can get their buy-in on that might help. The other question that I would have for you is, you mentioned something about coding correctly, and so a question that I would ask is, have we identified in each of our schools, not just the high school, a subject matter expert that understands the systems and the coding, and are they constantly being trained not by an internal person, but by the person who manufactured the system, so that we have the same knowledge across all the locations, so that we don't have any clerical issue at all? Okay, if that's not happening, then that's something we need to support you and let me know.
Well, I'm sorry, not a question from him.
Well, no, I'm saying big picture,
To answer your question, yes, ma'am. As a matter of fact, Dr. Brooks and I and Michelle Gaskins already had that conversation about what that looks like at the building. And we do have champions, and we do have Power School themselves coming down to show all of those things. And we also partnership with other schools to have those conversations. So it doesn't just stop at the district level.
We just want to make sure that we have those subject matter experts, that they're hearing the training from the expert, not just from somebody that we sent to training. And that, to your point, which I think is a great one, that we have that partnership so that 24/7, if they need an answer, they've got somebody that can give them an answer, so that we're not losing points because of coding errors and things of that nature. You also mentioned military service. And so just a question that I haven't asked before. At this particular point in time, Normandy does not have an ROTC program.
No, ma'am.
And is that something that would be helpful to you to have? Is that something, not today?
I'm
But is that
just going to
something
say
that-
that's something that we have talked about, and we can move forward with that,
Yeah.
at a later date once we.
Right. I'm
get
just
this
wondering if
going.
that would help, because some students need that structure. So I'm just wondering if that might be something that,
I think there's a lot can benefit from that
Yeah.
structure.
yeah, okay. So we should put that on our let's to do it in a later date listing. Okay. I think that's all I have. And then also I just wanted to say thank you also to Mr. Parker, who is, I don't know if he's here or not, but the work that he's been doing with you, Dr. Parker, thank you.
Yes.
And he's solicited a lot of feedback as to what kinds of things would be helpful to get the community involved. And I really appreciate you and he doing that.
Thank you.
The chair recognizes Director Davis Day. The chair recognizes Secretary Violet Taylor.
Thank you for your presentation. I just wanted to ask one question. I noticed that you have the different meetings. Wish I should have taken a picture of that, but you have the different meetings where you're holding meetings with the teachers, the staff, and so forth. Is there ever an opportunity where you all are able to sit down with the students themselves and really stress to them the importance of education? We know that they are required to take tests, and we know that's what we're looking at. We're looking at, well, the state is looking at the test score. But are there opportunities where you all, because I know, well, that was a while back, and when I was in high school, they would have rallies. And they would stand up and they would, stress how important education is and what happens when you get an education. Because one day you're going to walk the stage, you're going to get that certificate that says you've graduated, but what do they do after that?
Yes, ma'am, we do. We have grade level meetings where we individually, it's on the calendar throughout the year where we talk to our freshmen, our sophomores, juniors, and seniors. But also, we have a power hour, Viking hour, to where that gives us opportunities to communicate to scholars without invading the instructional time. So yes, ma'am, that's something that we saw fit to do this year because communication is key. But also we get to hear their voice and voices in a setting to where they can feel comfortable. So yes, and they become accustomed. They know what we're doing, and they know it's going to be information given during these, especially during the time where we have grade level meetings. But they also know that they're going to get an opportunity to make suggestions or of some pros and cons of some things that they're seeing. So yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Mr. Nave, thank you very much. Dr. Nave, we appreciate you again this evening, and we wish you well on this most important endeavor.
Thank you.
All right, at this time, we have a couple of items for information. Item 6.06, item 6.07, is that Dr. Brooks coming back before us to briefly give us a rundown of information? I know that our board packets contain several pieces of information that we've had an opportunity to look at and review, the MOU documents as well as the other supporting documents.
Correct. Tonight, I have two representatives for Girl in the Know. I have Ms. Jessica Egan, she's the executive director, as well as Ms. Corinne Mason, she's the program team member. You ladies want to come up? They'll be able to give a brief overview of our ongoing partnership and what they bring to the district.
Good evening, ladies, and thank you for being here.
Thank you for having us. Girls in the Know serves girls ages 9 through 13 to help develop a more structured sense of self, empowered sense of self, and we do so through a 4-part empowerment workshop series. So we partner with licensed specialists to do empowerment, body image, safety, and puberty. And those are outlined in the MOU.
Yes.
And in the essence of time, we'll be as brief as possible on our part, but welcome any questions. Corinne is one of our key program staff members, and so I've got her if you have something specific.
The information that you submitted was very comprehensive and informative. I also had the opportunity to visit the website where I found additional information there that was also very helpful. So if there are no questions,
I know.
thank you so much for
It's a
being
great
here
program.
tonight.
Thank you.
Dr. Brooks?
Next, we have a representative for Operation Food Search, again, another long-standing partner. Tonight, we have Ms. Amanda Nelker. She's the Child Nutrition Program Manager.
Thank you for being here tonight. Obviously, this one is kind of self-explanatory, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, for having me. This is specific to our Operation Backpack program. So this program exists to meet the need of hunger in the children of our community. So in St. Louis County, that is 17.6% in 2023, which is our most current stat. It's higher in the city. Right now, we are providing last school year, we provided over 14,000 bags to the Normandy School District, and they are shelf-stable bags for students to take home over the weekend when they don't have access to school lunches, school breakfast, school meals.
Absolutely. What wonderful work that they're doing. Let's give them a big round of applause.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here. This program is absolutely vital and essential. If you've been paying any attention to what's being widely reported in the media, right now there are all kinds of food programs that have been cut to early childhood centers, and there are going to be some kids that struggle behind those cuts. And so this is absolutely essential work. We cannot thank you enough, and I'm sure the board will act expediently to get this moving forward and continue the work. Are there any questions?
No, just let us know if you need anything.
Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you, Dr. Brooks. We appreciate that. At this time, moving right along, item 6.09. Our Chief Financial Officer will come before us, Carlton Brooks. Oh, did I miss that? Okay.
Yeah, you did.
Yep, pardon me. I believe Yasi Haynes is here with a brief KAI construction update and report.
And I will not ask a lot of questions.
Good evening, Board.
Good evening.
President, Dr. Triplett, Cabinet, and School Collaborative. My name is Jossie Haynes. I'm giving you a very, very brief report. Pleased to let you know that most of this is underway and almost done.
Yay.
NSC ESSER funds update. I guess I'm moving the slide. Yeah. All right. Okay, so Bell Ridge bus lot electrical, the electrical work only is done as of 12/31. Bell Ridge bus lot parking lot was scheduled to be done on the 12/31, and it's also complete. Early Learning Center, I reported previously that it was going to be done on 12/31, and I think that's complete now. Viking Hall Stadium seating, that is scheduled to be complete at the end of this month, 1/30/26. Viking Hall athletic improvements is going to be scheduled currently to be completed 3/31/2026. Bell Ridge bus lot, the EV buses, that's going to be delivered to the school district on 8/31/2026. The facilities master plan is moving into the next phase, which is scheduled to be completed through 9/31/2026. Bell Nor classroom renovation, which is the upcoming project, which currently is going to start this week. And we're going to get that out so that we can be completed by 4/30/2026. That is my report. Thank you. Any questions?
Are there any questions for Mr. Haynes?
I have
The chair
one.
recognizes Director William Humphrey.
I know we had some earlier conversation around some tentative plans around trying to have a basketball tournament at Viking Hall around February 14th. What's the likelihood that we can get a lion's share of the work done, if not completed, so that the facility could be used to support that event? Is there
We believe we can get it by moving it just a weekend. We can have the basketball tournament on the 20th.
Okay, has that been confirmed with the athletic directors?
I believe we communicated. If not, we'll communicate it tomorrow. But an email should have went out after you've made the charge to see what we can do to make that happen. That was done the next day.
Yeah, because whatever we can do to squeeze the process, we need to squeeze it.
Yeah, like a lemon.
Yeah, the athletic director is in conversation with Matthew Dickey, so he does know.
Yeah.
Okay. But I just want to make sure if we're trying to do the week after, whatever that is, the week of the 20th versus the 14th, we just need to make sure that everybody's on the same page.
Yeah, it will be completed by the end of lost train of thought, but it'll be done that next weekend though, completely. So we'll be just doing light end stuff, not many. Shouldn't be a problem.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Haynes. We appreciate that update.
Thank you.
And we look forward to the continued construction work to make our facilities world-class for our students.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Have a good evening.
Carlton Brooks is making his way to the podium, and we anticipate his financial report. Thank you, Dr. Brooks. Good evening.
Good evening, Joint Executive Governing Board and Dr. Triplett, Dr. Petty, Normandy Schools Collaborative Community. At this time, I'm going to take a few minutes to talk about the district's financial position, specifically as of December 31st, 2025. We've crafted this report and working, Dr. Triplett and I, with Dr. Petty, to just basically quickly walk through a synopsis of, again, our financial position and results of operations year to date. This is also a cash flow analysis that also looks at 2 months forward. So as of December 31st, our total operating fund reserves in both what we call our general and our teachers fund Special Revenue Fund totaled $6,090,400, which represents about 11.8% fund reserves. We were projecting earlier that those fund reserves, while that's a strong position and nearly 3 times what the state requires as a minimum, we were projecting that into the 20s, reaching up toward 30%. But however, what's happened in St. Louis County did not begin billing its tax notices until the end of November rather than the beginning of November. And so what's happening is the money in December trickled in slower. It's really picking up this month, but in December it trickled in slower. So we are at 11.8% as of December 31st, again with $6,090,000 banked in our operating funds. And looking at January, looking at a projection, we are anticipating that we are going to have about $5.7 million of expenses that are going to be coming in. That's represented by salaries and benefits paid out on January the 9th, which we paid last Friday, and then on January the 23rd. In addition to a big music insurance bill of about $1.5 million that we are about to pay. And then thirdly, purchase services and supply and other miscellaneous expenditures of about $1.3 million. So that's that $5.6 million. If you subtract that $5.6 million from what we have in reserves of $6 million, that brings us down to a remaining $401,000 before we recognize the revenues that are projected to come in. That $401,000 represents about a 0.78 or just under a 1% reserve. So we still have funds projected in our reserves. But then when we add to that our revenues that we anticipate coming in of about 10.9 million, just under 11 million, that's composed of St. Louis County property taxes of 9.1 million and state foundation formula monies of about 1.8 million. That brings our fund reserves up to about 11.3 million, or roughly 22.07% of a fund reserve. Let me say this to that, by the way. We have already received $8.5 million in monies as of Friday, and we are projecting to blow this projection out in January. And this is, again, because the monies are now starting to come in from St. Louis County. So where we had projected about 9.1 million to receive in St. Louis County receipts, we're projecting that that's going to be substantially higher than that amount. And looking at the month of February, we are projecting that we're going to have expenses of $4,189,245, composed of, again, our wages and benefits, in addition to the purchase services and supplies, et cetera. And that's going to bring our available fund reserves down to 7.2 million, or roughly 13.95%. But then we anticipate getting an additional $8.3 million in revenues coming in that will boost our projected fund reserves and our operating funds to 15.5 million, or roughly about 30% of a fund reserve. So you see we have a strong financial position moving forward, which is positive. At this time, I want to move over to the second document. We're going to take about 1 or 2 minutes to look at a couple of things on in that document. And we will push forward to a couple of pages. So here, as I had mentioned, we had roughly $17 million. If you look in the far right column, you'll see our ending fund reserve as of July 1, 2025. This is audited. It's $17,099,000. That's our overall total fund reserves at that date. We have projected revenues through December of $25.9 million, expenditures of $30.154 million, which leaves us with an overall fund reserve of $12,000,008, which equates to, again, that 11.8% that I mentioned earlier is the operating fund balance, but a total fund reserve of 18.96%. So our financial position is fairly strong. I wanted to move on and talk about a few of the major things that the district is looking at doing. Jossie had mentioned, Mr. Haynes from KI had mentioned about the bus fleet. We are projected to get those 15 electric buses as we work with Highland. That's going to be this summer in August. That's been pushed forward. We continue to work through the completion of the ESSER 3 projects. We're planning to get those done again by the end of February, and that's proceeding well, as Mr. Haynes pointed out. We have completed our 2024-25 auditing process. We've put copies of the audit report in front of each of you, so you have that. We received an audit rating. It's an A plus, an A rating. So we received the highest audit rating possible, an unmodified, unqualified audit opinion, which is again outstanding, and the district should be commended for that. We should celebrate when we have victories, and this is, of course, a victory. The finance operations area, we've received all of our APR points in all categories, in our financial reporting and in the audit as well. So that is substantiated, and you have that report on file. Specifically, the auditors point out that they, in all material respects, found our financial position to be solid and appropriate. Moving on, we've received 4 qualifying responses on our healthcare broker RFP process, and we are now working through with the evaluation committee, working to select the top candidate. And we hope to bring you a recommendation for healthcare services in the next month or so. And then finally, we want to mention Dr. Triplett and I, we've been meeting with, we're trying to meet with the mayors and others in the community, and of course you all, but we want to talk about the bond referendum. You know that Stifel Nicholas, our underwriting firm, came before you in October. We have a great opportunity this year to go after, say, a $40 million bond referendum that would also come with a transfer of funds of what we call the debt service levy, about 55 cents over to the operating fund. This would generate about $2.5 to $3 million of new money that could go into, and this is a no tax revenue, this is a no tax increase, but this is money we could, of course, address remaining capital issues in all of our buildings, our remaining buildings, in conjunction with the master plan that KAI is helping us fulfill right now. But it would also allow us to have about $2.5 million of new money each year to attach to very important things. We've talked about tutoring and some of the other things that will drive instruction, successful instruction in the district. So this is something that we are wanting to entertain before you, and we will have further discussions on this. In order to have this go on the ballot for April, St. Louis County is needing a response from the board by a January 27th date. There are other election dates, by the way, in the year, in August and also in November, where we would have more time. But this is a win-win situation in many ways, and we'll have more discussion with you, the board, on this, but we wanted to kind of point this out. And so these are some of the major financial things that are going on. We will be entertaining, and we have an HR accounting system that we'll talk about. We're going to be bringing that to you in a few minutes as an action item. And so without further ado, I'll field any questions that you might have at this time.
Dr. Petty, if I could.
The chair recognizes Director William Humphrey.
Well, I guess, first of all, thank you for the report. And I just want to go back to the financial analysis where you were talking about money in, money out. And there was a point that the fund balance had dropped to a certain low level. And I know that what my comment is, and this is probably something that you could discuss with Dr. Triplett and come back to us at a later date, but I think it speaks to two things. We need to know a little bit more about the internal controls that are in place and what is the internal stop. There should be some kind of a stop sign internally where when we're getting close to 3%, we either have to slow spending or stop spending as opposed to getting to a place where we're not in deficit spending, but we're below the 3% threshold. So I think it's critically important that we understand what those internal controls are. So this time next year, we won't be having those same discussions around those numbers. So that's my only comment.
All right, thank you.
I'd like to be recognized.
The chair recognizes Secretary Violet Taylor.
Good evening. Thank you for your report. I just have one question. I was During the report, I noticed that I did not see the federal reimbursement.
Yes.
On
so
there.
The federal reimbursement came in at a little over 3 million. We had hoped that it would come in at 5 million, but it actually came in the month of December at a little bit over $3 million.
And I'd also like to say that you had said to us you would let us know that that monies was supposed to come. We never received that information. I just wanted that on the record.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Yeah, that money came in late during the winter, the holiday break when we were out.
Right. And I kept asking that question just in case there was a problem where it did not come in, and you assured us that it would, so that's why I
And
said,
it did.
that's why I asked the question.
But it
Okay.
was a little bit less than we had hoped.
Right.
The chair recognizes Vice President Pearson.
I guess I'm have more of a comment than a question. Speaking with, agreeing with Director Humphrey, let's just make sure that we don't have any potential get below the state, what is it called?
Threshold.
3% threshold.
3% threshold. I know that things like insurance has to be paid, benefits, payroll has to be paid because we don't want any confusion. But let's try to narrow down what the issue is so that we're not in the same predicament next year
Sure.
and no more meetings.
And let
After
me
December
mention this
15th.
too.
Wait.
I'm sorry.
No more meetings after December 15th. Okay, thank you. That's all that I have.
I appreciate that. I appreciate you, the board, in meeting after, we went out on break after the 15th. This, again, was an extraordinary situation. As you all know, when we had the auditors come in November and present, I wish I could, to be honest with you, I wish I had the ability to contain our federal government. I really do. Wish that I could have prevented the federal government from the historic 43-day shutdown. That was a major factor. In addition to that, you all are very familiar with what else went on. While we were waiting for some key information until literally the 15th of the month, we still accomplished a yeoman effort by getting this done, but we had factors that were totally outside of our control, and yet we defeated those factors. We overcame those things, and ultimately were able to present a commendable report. And so you're right about that, about the 15th. We in no way wanted that, but that was an act of God in a sense that we had to overcome, and really was totally out of our hands. And yet, we ran through walls, did, whatever we had to do to get it done. So we hear you, and we really appreciate you, the board, and your sacrifice, because you all really went the distance in helping us with this.
Thank you.
The chair recognizes Director Milton Roberts.
Yeah, I guess I just have a couple things. Number one is that, kind of going back to what Director Pearson and actually the superintendent were saying, or Director Humphrey were saying about the cutoff date, it seems as though that should just kind of be a baked-in date also for the schools, so that they know that after this date, it's only, really, really something important, and there should be somebody that they get an approval from to make an expenditure over XYZ dollars, okay? So I think we really need to look at those financial policies and make sure that those are locked down. The second thing that I had was, I just am recalling from a previous meeting that we had stated that we were going to do budget amendments at this particular point in time. So just want to make sure that we have that on your agenda, and also that we have you all working on the whole calendar, if you will, for fiscal 26, so that we can make sure that we do the budget workshop, that we do the new, whenever the new board is on the new budget, and that we have that budget in our hands by the end of May, so that we can do a real budget workshop and look at it line by line and come up with the answers that we need. Okay, especially because we're working on the accreditation, so there may be some things that need to adjust.
Thank you for those points. We are actually planning to bring you, to conduct the budget workshop in February. And we are looking in conjunction with that and doing a budget amendment. Those are important things. As far as the internal control, we do actually have internal controls in place with regard to an emergency situation. And that would be to prioritize expenditures, to make sure that things that have to be paid are paid, and to, slightly delay those items to ensure that we maintain and we stay, solvent.
Okay. So did I hear you correctly that the budget amendment process is now moving from January to February? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, because it's almost, one of the things, we've got so many things on our plate right now. And I mean, to amend the budget, we need to have the input from the buildings, et cetera. And to do that, that's really a major effort.
Okay. We just need to lock down a date so that we can actually have time to do that. So
Yes.
let's not lose sight of that. Okay. All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
The chair recognizes Director Davis Day.
Good evening. So I'm kind of piggyback off of Director Milton Roberts. My question or comment was about the budget and the amendment of the budget. We spoke about the amendment of the budget in November and December, and Dr. Triplett said that you were planning to amend it at the November meeting. It feels critical. It feels like we're at a point where this needs to happen sooner than later. This is an emergency that we don't reach that threshold, and we're reaching it. We're pushing it. We are not comfortable with where this budget is right now, and the 3% is not a safeguard. The 3% it's a wrap. It's over. So a month from now, who's to say that these funds are actually coming in? We've had that conversation as well, that we anticipate funding and it doesn't come in, or it doesn't come in when it's supposed to. Or it's not the amount that we said or that we anticipated. We're in trying times right now. I think that we've spoken about we spoke about amending the budget when the board approved the budget, and we revisited in November. We revisited that it needed to be done, and it was stated that it was being done. Pushing it off another month seems, scary. Like I don't like it. I don't like pushing it off another month, and I just want the board to know that I don't feel comfortable pushing it off another month. I think that it's urgent.
I appreciate your comments on that. Again, we had our plan, we talked about amending the budget as early as November, but we were talking about doing it at mid-year in January. To do so, again, there's a lot of effort that goes into that. We would have had to have been working, of course, I was working over the winter break. Several days I worked over the winter break, but we would have had to have pulled in so many resources and people to do so, to even begin to get that done. So let me address your other point. You mentioned the fund reserves at 3%, the operating fund reserves. Again, those fund reserves are well over. They're at 11.3, 8%. With the $8 to $9 million that we've received just in the last few days, that's pushed it up over 20%. So there's not any, and so the normal, this is a thing that all school districts, all 520-something school districts throughout the state of Missouri go through, and really the thousands across the country, is what happens is you get your monies, your property tax revenues in December and January, your fund reserves climb high, and then over the course of the year, you eat those down. This happens, this is like clockwork. They draw down all the way down, and then they're replenished again in December and in January. So this is just really the cycle that school districts go through. Now, we can put in, and we have some safeguards that we put in to ensure that we stay above that 3% level. But again, this is the calendar. This would be like a woman having a baby. A woman's going to carry a baby to term is going to go 40 weeks. It's going to go 9 months. If we try to manipulate or change that, I mean, there just are some standards that are just, clockwork. So nothing else needs to be said, but I hear what you're saying. It's very important what you've said, and we hear you. We want to be successful as a district.
And Director Davis-Day, I think it's important to know that school budgets, they perform a certain way. And I think that we have to understand how that happens. There's an expenditure season, a heavy expenditure season, where monies are earmarked to make sure bills are paid. Then there's a replenishing season. Nobody has a healthy fund balance all year long. It doesn't work like that. So I think that the more we understand about how school budgets work, and I think that may be a workshop we need to have with exactly how that works, because I think there's still some confusion on how that works, because I'm still hearing questions about it. But I think we really need to get down in the meats of exactly how school budgets work.
So I want to clarify my uneasiness. So in a previous meeting, in the November meeting, I asked you, had you seen our budget go this low, and you said no, right?
I can't really say that I
I'm
don't
telling you
remember
that's what
saying.
happened.
Okay.
Okay. And so that's my concern. And then for the funding to keep coming in sporadically and not at the amount that we expected, those are that's what's spiking my concern. 22% in January, when you said we get a lump sum in December and January, and we're in the middle of January, and that lump sum doesn't look like what it looked like in the past 2-3 years that you've been here, it's concerning. So it's not that I don't understand, it's that I do understand, and that we're not where we are supposed to be. And there are a lot of districts, 9 times out of 10, that aren't. But we can't afford that.
Okay, I appreciate your points. Let me, and we do need to do in the workshop, we will walk through this. We have an assessed value over $480 million. So what happens is the assessed value times our tax rate times our collection rate of about 95% or whatever, that's money that's going to come in. What's happened is that money is coming in. What's happened, because St. Louis County did not issue its tax notices until the end of November instead of the beginning of November, the bills, didn't receive our tax bills, and we weren't paying our bills as early as we have in prior years. The money's coming in, it's just coming in slower. But guess what? That $8.5 million that came in last week, that should have been $2 or $3 million. That's part of the catch-up that's coming in, money that should have been received in December. So no, that money is coming in. It's just coming in a little bit delayed because of the late notices that went out instead of the earlier notices. So I just want to kind of mention that to you as well.
Thank you. Right.
Who has not had an opportunity to speak at this point? Is it just
I was first, so she can go ahead.
So am I the only one that hasn't had an opportunity to speak on this? Let's be very clear. There are school districts in this state that don't drop below the minimum required threshold at any given point during the fiscal calendar. That's not me saying that. That information is out there, and anybody can go look it up and find it, period. It's insulting for you all to assert what we don't understand about simple addition and subtraction. It is your responsibility to make sure that the district funds don't drop below the 3% threshold, period. If internal controls are in place, then they're in place to ensure that we don't drop below the 3%. You can't tell us that they're in place and then we drop below the 3%. That means they're either not in place or they're ineffective. And so something has to be done. And there is a record of us being in this meeting, a meeting just like this, and we discuss how will you account for the global markets, the financial crisis that's out there in the world is being widely reported. We talked about all of that. We asked about all of that. And so that wasn't taken into account. And that's the issue. And so we understand exactly what we're looking at. And going forward, we're going to be asking for the receipts for those projections so that we can see what was projected and what actually came in. That is concerning for us.
We have never dropped below 3%. So
You just presented that.
No, that was not. I showed you the end. What I
That
showed you.
0.78 is what?
No, that is not. That's not including the revenues that are coming in. The revenues coming in.
We're only talking about the revenues required by the state.
Right.
Those are the only funds that we're talking about. We're not talking about commingling funds or anything like that.
There's
We're
no
only talking
commingling of
about
funds.
those that are required by the state. That's
There's-
all we're talking about.
Exactly. We are. We're talking about the exact same thing. In that case, we've been well above the 3%. Well above we've never fallen below 3%. Not ever. We haven't done that.
So again, board and CFO, I would add again, because I don't, it's not my intent to discredit anyone's ability or knowledge or lack thereof. I'm just simply saying that we need more education around the budget, because I'm still hearing things that is not inconsistent with how school budgets work. Maybe I'm slow, but I'm still hearing things that are not consistent with how school budgets work and the way school budgets are performed.
So can I just make a suggestion? Okay, because I don't think we're going to solve this tonight, but I think that there's a couple of things that really need to happen, okay? I think we need to build a calendar that says this is what we're going to do and when we're going to do it.
Sure.
I think that we need to adhere to that calendar. So if we're, whatever we agree to, and if we need to make a change, then we need to agree to that change. And then the third thing is that perhaps it would be a good idea for us as a governing body to decide, the state says 3%. Maybe for us, we want to say it's 4% or whatever it is. So maybe, in our workshop or what have you, we have that conversation. We agree as to what that percent ought to be. You can help us with what the flags are going to be so that, if you get here, this is what we can't do or what have you. So that way we can have a more collaborative process around that, because it's not about a gotcha. It's really about, how do we ensure that, you've got everything you need and it's recorded, and that you don't get put in a compromising position because something's not flowing, because there are lots of hiccups happening. As Director Day said, there's a whole lot of hiccups. It's kind of scary, that part is. So maybe if we can work together to come up with that schedule, that would make it a little bit better, okay?
Thank you.
Okay. Permission. Thank you. So I guess I don't like to do the bouncing back and forth. Let's just kind of get to a solution here. I think that the issue is the last time that our district saw below the state recommended 3%, we were unaccredited, and we had people in seats that were not certified for those positions. Looking at the chart that you gave us, that point somebody percent is alarming because it's in red. So maybe, just a suggestion, I'm not a mathematician, I'm not a financial, I'm not a accountant, I'm not, Excel is my thing, but maybe we should do a different type of chart to explain what the percentage is, what is going to, in a more detailed but simpler manner, so that the people who do not have a financial background or understand how the funds come in or whatever the case may be, maybe that a different type of chart gesture would be better, because that seems to be the issue. So maybe it wasn't the point whatever percent. I understand transparency because we've been using it all day, but at the same time, we just need to have knowledge.
Sure. I appreciate
So maybe
that.
a different chart type or
Yeah.
graphic or something.
We followed this. This was the directive. But speaking to someone with over 40 years of a CPA, with all of the experience, generally accepted accounting principles require that you do this chronologically. What we did was we took our fund reserves and we took all of the expenses out. That actually differs from and violates GAAP. It just does. What we should be doing is taking it out chronologically. When the revenues, we track the revenues when they come in and the expenses when they come in. The dates that they fall, and that if you were gonna really get into the nitty gritty and see exactly how to do this, that's how you would do it. What we did here, and this was just trying to follow direction, we took the fund reserves and pulled all the expenses out first. That's improper. I mean, but we can do that. And then we added the revenues on. But what we did was we really artificially deflated the fund reserves. This 0.78 is an artificial deflation of the fund reserves. That's improper. You're talking about a governmental auditor that's been in the game, has done over a couple hundred audits as a senior auditor at the state and federal level, a CPA, over 40 years of experience, working in 6 districts in these capacities for many years, after being a financial director at a university for several years, and that after being an auditor for several years, 11 years of audit. The proper way, but we did this out of direction, okay? Someone wanted us to put it formatted this way, but this actually violates GAAP. So if we were to do this properly, we would chronologically note, this is the fund reserve, these are the cash receipts coming in, these are the expenses being paid out, these are the dates. That's how you look at it and do it properly.
Okay, so, Mr. Brooks, I understand that. I'm not asking for an explanation. I'm sorry, it's late, so that's why I'm just saying, so that we can come to a solution instead of a discussion back and forth.
Sure.
So if we can do something that is more cohesive to the gap, what you're speaking of, because I don't know what gap is, but if we could do something that's more cohesive to that and that is understanding of our board and our constituents, that would be great. That is all that I'm asking.
Thank you.
I'm not,
So we have all the right
Thank
triggers
you.
and everything so that everybody's content. Okay, we can do that.
it's 9:30.
All right. Okay, thank you. Thank you for all your efforts.
As we close out that portion of the meeting, there are several points of information that I'll intend to share with the board. Points of information that need to be shared and point out the misinformation that's being shared as well. All right. Let's move on to item 6.10. It's an item for information. Oh, did I miss something in?
No, you're right.
No,
You're good.
it's just long. I'm sorry.
Good evening, Board President Dr.
Good
Petty,
evening.
Board Directors, our Superintendent Dr. Triplett, my colleagues and community. Today I'm here in front of you giving information about the Universal Service Schools and Libraries Program, which is known as a E-rate. So each year our district is applying for get the grants to upgrade our network infrastructure and equipment. This project is actually was regarding with that two categories. It's E-rate is giving 2 categories, Category 1 and Category 2. This is regarding Category 2 for equipment for upgrading ELC, network infrastructure. So this is to get equipments and to get discounts from government. So this program actually provides discounts eligible for the eligible schools to upgrading network equipment and Wi-Fi infrastructure. So these discounts can go up to 85%, which our school is eligible for that. This procurement was done with the collaboration with our BTU consultants. 4 different vendors was applied for this, submitted their proposals, and we choose one of those. It's the winner, it's the VGR company. So the total cost of the project is actually almost 114,000. And government, I hope, if they don't remove, they will subsidize 85%, so it will cover around 97,000 of it. School will be only just pay 15%, which is equivalent to almost 17,000. So district will save $97,000 just to apply to this grant. So my recommendation is to move and approve this so we can get. Again, if it's approved and all that stuff, the government have time to approve this until end of April, end of May. So this project will be start anyway in summertime. So after July 1st, they funding. So if we receive this money, so as soon as we go to the summer break, and after that, so after July 1st, we will upgrade the ELC. This is the actually only building which is left, which was not upgraded.
Oh, okay.
So in this last 4 years, we upgraded all our buildings with the grant. So we get category 1 funding, category 2 funding too. But the category 2 is actually giving each 5 years according to student numbers. So this is another 5th year. So it's the beginning of it. So we finished for that. I was waiting for so it's eligible again.
Mm-hmm.
So now we're getting it. So trying to save more money. Any questions?
Thank you for your presentation.
Yeah, no, sounds good.
Oh,
Yeah,
you have a
that's-
question? Chair recognizes Director Davis Day.
Yes, ma'am.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My question is, we're talking about the Early Learning Center on Natural Bridge, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So the building is only 5 years old, 6 years old, right?
7.
More than 7, I think.
7.
It's 7?
Mm-hmm.
So how often is it recommended that this is replaced?
Normally, it used to be 5 years, but with the new things, with new AIs, with all new technology, it's around 3 years. And it's already, all other building is already upgraded. Only that building is still on the old system.
Okay.
So we're trying to bring, so they are all in same, so they have latest version of the Wi-Fi, switches, whatever is needed for students.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Zach, for your presentation.
Thank you very much.
This concludes the superintendent's report. The final portion of the superintendent's report or any superintendent comments. Seeing that there are none, we have item 7.01, which is another item for information. We have all of the information in the packet. You can review that information in your packet, and it's scheduled for an item for action on the January 20th work session.
Can I ask one question?
Please.
Okay, there you are. Okay, I just had one question. That is, you have the new accounting and HR system. And so the question that I have, I know there's lots of different systems out there. Do we have any sister districts that are using the system that you're selecting? And what's been their track record with the system?
Sure. So there are a few districts that are using the system. Ferguson-Florissant is using the system. Riverview has some components of the system. There are actually others, and I can provide you with a list of all of the regional districts that are utilizing. We actually have we have the national sales manager. This is Peggy Kuntz, and she's coming forward. She's here this evening, and she's available to address any questions that you may have.
Hi, good evening.
Hi. So I guess my question is this going to be really easy to transition to? And is it going to be, that's what I want to know. And is it going to be real easy to keep people up to date on how to use the system, especially the HR component?
Right, absolutely. So our team does have a comprehensive consulting and training plan that's included with the initial purchase that will help your team transition from your current solution into Skyward.
Okay, all right. And also with that transition, usually when there's system transitions, there's like hiccups. So is there like when would you want to do it and how do we avoid the hiccups?
Yeah, so the district is targeting a July 1st implementation date. And so with that, our recommendation would be to seek approval immediately so that we could get started on the implementation and begin the process of data migrations, schedule the consulting, the training sessions, and all that
Okay.
to happen
Okay.
immediately then,
Okay.
yeah.
But it's real easy.
Sure. It's extremely easy, yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Permission.
The chair recognizes Vice President Pearson.
Hello, Ms. Kuntz.
Hi.
You stated that migration will be July 1st, 2026. With the other school districts, did you have any issues with your migration from the old systems to the new systems? And with those issues, have you come up with a solution so that when you go to other like districts, you don't have those same problems?
Yeah, absolutely. So Skyward has been doing this for 45 years, and we've migrated from the system that you would be moving from before. Specifically, I think there's 8 districts throughout Missouri that we've worked with. And we treat each school as their own, so custom programming is written for the data migration process. Like I said, there's that comprehensive consulting and training plan that's included. We have specialists that work with your teams throughout the implementation. So ahead of your go-live date, if there are going to be any issues, we are able to identify those and work through them so that when you go live, there aren't any hiccups or anything like that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Dr. Petty.
Thank you.
Okay.
The chair recognizes Secretary Violet Taylor.
Good evening, how are you?
Good, how are you?
I don't have the information in front of me. I did go over it. Can you give me the cost of it, the pricing for that system?
It's approximately $207,355.
207,355?
Yes.
Okay. And that's just a one-time charge? It's not split over into?
That is correct, but some of the costs are recurring, not, a small portion for, say, maintenance, ongoing maintenance annually. So,
And is the cost,
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Once the system is installed, tech support will be provided for any issues that may come up.
Yes, there is an annual license fee that you would pay, and as part of that annual license fee, it does include technical support.
Annual license fee?
Yes.
Okay,
That was my question.
thank you.
I think annually the cost was around $24,000. Yeah, so, and that was included in the 207.
Okay.
Dr. Petty.
The chair recognizes William Humphrey.
Good evening. First of all, thank you very much for being here tonight. One of the things I think would be very helpful as the board is evaluating this proposal to approve, if you have any kind of samples or something showing the system in operation where we can see the benefits of using this versus what we currently have, because I know that CFO Brooks has talked a lot about our systems being antiquated. And so what we need to understand is what is the value added part to becoming a part of this particular system. So if we could have a look at what that, kind of looks like in a mock sense, it would better help decision making.
Absolutely. I have some videos that I will be able to send.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you for being here, Mrs. Kuntz. My question is for Dr. Brooks. Can you just share with me where in this document, in the packet of information that you submitted, that actually shows the reoccurring costs and the annual fees?
We'll have to look at that. I know the total shows the 207.
Is it not in here?
I believe it is, but
Can
we
you
can
direct
get you
me to where it is? Because I haven't been able to find it. So
Okay.
at some point, I need to know
Sure.
if it's in there, and I'm wondering why it wouldn't be in there.
Right. I'll get that to you, Dr. Petty, and to you, the board.
Well, I also think, since we have the work session on the 20th, any of those pieces that may not be there, just use that as an opportunity to provide it, and then we can make a more informed decision.
And please make sure that we see the HR side as well as the
Yes.
financial side, and the interface of the HR side to, any other systems that we're going to keep.
Sure. Okay. Thank you.
All right, thank you both.
I have a question.
Oh, Director Davis Day?
Real quick, I'm sorry. Hi, good evening. How long have you been working with Ferguson Florissant?
I think we have been working with them for the past 5 or 6 years.
What other districts are you working with?
I'm sorry?
What other districts are you working with in the Missouri? In Missouri?
We work with Lincoln County, we work with Bayless, we work with, I'm drawing a blank right now. Winsville, actually, I was just telling the HR director that Winsville actually just selected Skyward. They're also on SysFin and will be migrating to Skyward July 1st as well. So they're about 3 or 4 months ahead of where your district would be in the implementation process. But we can provide a reference listing for you. Those are
That'd
just
be
a few
great.
that I can remember off the top of my head.
That'd be great.
All right, thank you again. Oh, you
Were
still
there
going?
any- I did. I have another question. Were there any other bids? Were there any other recommendations?
Yes, so
that you
we had
considered?
others. Keystone Information Systems was the other key player, competitor. We also looked this is a Tyler Technology product that we currently have, SysFin. We looked at and tried to reached out to Munis, Enterprise, and we tried to get information back from Alio, Sage, some other companies. But the two that ultimately bid on the products were, again, Skyward and then also Keystone Information Systems.
Did we get to see any other bids?
Well, we put the bids out, yes. So we had Keystone was the other bid, the other company that submitted. So we had an RFP that we submitted, and then the responses, we floated that or issued that for 2 weeks in August. And the recipients, even though we reached out to different providers, the only two companies that bid were, again, Skyward and Keystone Information Systems.
Okay. Thank you.
So a follow-up to your question, Director Davis Day. You're asking, did we see anything from the other vendor?
Right.
Meaning, was there a presentation? Was it part of a board packet or anything like that? Did they have a representative come? Is that not what your question was? So I believe Dr. Carlton Brooks answered yes, but the correct answer is actually no.
Well, the correct answer that the committee, we had interviews, we interviewed both companies, we saw demonstrations, several from both companies.
She's asking, did the board see it?
Yeah. I see.
Did we see it? So the correct answer would be no.
No, we can give you that information. I'm
We're
sorry.
going to move forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item 7.01.
We just did that.
Item 8.01. Items for consent. There's a issue, Madam Secretary. I see the check listing still on there at 8.04.
Take out the-
Is
No,
that-
sir, I took that one out.
Okay,
The one
my
that the
copy
board,
is showing that the check listing is still there.
it's the check listing, but did that check get removed?
But it's part of the consent agenda, and it wasn't supposed to be. So do we need to make a motion, Director Humphrey, to amend the consent agenda to take the check listings off?
Not necessarily. If she indicated if the item in question was removed, then the list in itself would be an appropriate list.
Right.
So
Everything else
I,
is okay.
I took off the whole checklist.
So why does it appear here then?
It's
It
not a,
says approval of check listings for consent. I don't believe it should appear on this document if it's to be removed.
so you said take out the whole.
So how about we do a roll call vote of each item?
But just for clarity, VP, the checklist that was in question, I took the entire list off. It's other checklists that you all didn't instruct me to take off that
so that
you
we-
were
you
in
took off.
approval.
Pardon me,
I'm sorry, go ahead,
please,
go ahead.
Ms. Milton Roberts.
Go ahead.
That you all were in approval of, the one that had the check that was in question, I removed that entire checklist.
You mean you removed that entire check from the list,
no, she moved the entire list.
list, the checklist.
which contains all of the checks, right?
No, sir, it contains the November checklist with the one you had in question. I took that entire checklist off. It was a November one, but the rest of them, the board was in agreement with.
A point of clarification. My understanding was that there was only one item, so there was no need to take the entire list off. It was just one item that was in question, so everything else should have been left there.
Right, but it was removed with an explanation that I sent to our chair
But he also responded to you to make sure that everything else got added back on. That was my understanding.
I didn't see it.
So how you want to do it, President? Because it's not on here, that particular item that you all didn't agree with, it's not on here. And what I did suggest is that we put it in for the next meeting without that check that you all had in question.
I guess my confusion is, what did we actually take off and what is actually here?
Can I say something, Board President? I would just ask that the board vote on approving the checklist, amending the checklist to remove the one check in question and approving the checklist.
But it's not.
It's
not on
Have the board viewed it apparently because they said they mentioned the
We
check,
looked at it, but she took the whole thing off for some
So,
reason.
Dr. Petty,
but it's on
it's
here.
supposed to be 3, it's only 2.
Right.
Right.
Next page. It's supposed to be 3. It's supposed to be the end of November. So it's only 2. So she removed the entire checklist.
For November.
Right.
So
So
if
these
it
are only
need
for
December
December.
7th,
Yes, sir.
Okay.
But I'm not sure why the entire list was taken off.
It's
Okay.
gone now.
It's gone.
okay.
It's right.
so
We're back.
For the
And I
sake of
sent the
time,
explanation that I really don't
We
want
already
to
addressed that.
address.
for the sake of time, I
Okay.
motion that we remove the check listing for consents and move it to January 20th so that we can approve it then.
There's a motion on the floor.
Second.
It's been moved and properly second. Roll call vote, Madam Secretary.
Discussion first, I have a quick question.
ahead.
Okay, so we have 2 items here. Can we not just approve the 2 that are here, and then the one that's not here, as she said before, just move it to January? Just approve what's here.
Is that what you're saying, Director Pearson?
I mean, that's what I thought
Yes,
we
that
were
is.
doing, but
Yes.
it seems to be so much discussion, and it is now 9:44 p.m.
Yes, VP.
Show me what you're trying to
So basically, what we're looking to do is approve the week of 12/7 and 12/14.
So this is just the description of the item.
Right.
Whenever you click on it, it's supposed to be 3. It's only 2. So it's only the week of 12/7, week of 12/14. These is the strategic plans that it aligns with.
But I thought the item in question was in these
It's
weeks.
in November.
Right.
It was November.
It's in November.
Okay.
And I took that entire thing off.
Okay. All right. Well, then we can proceed.
So I make a motion to rescind.
Second.
Okay.
All right. So
President,
I'll
did
entertain
you-
a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So move.
Can we do a roll call vote, please?
Yes.
Is there a second to approve the consent agenda?
I thought he seconded.
Oh, well, he motioned it.
Okay, well, I'll second it then. If it's already been motioned, I second.
Okay. All right.
I triple it.
Hold on. I've got a question about the minutes.
Oh, you had a question. Okay, go ahead.
Oh, okay.
So there in the board, in the audit meeting, there was a vote that was in question. On my notes, it says that the vote that we voted on in the board meeting minutes, it says that the vote that we voted on, I'm sorry, Ms. Rigsby. In the board meeting minutes, it said, so in the board meeting minutes, it says that the vote was for the facilities, and not to table the matter. Or it says that it's to table it, but the vote that we voted on, the way that we voted, that was not to table it. That was to actually approve it. So that was the vote to approve. And the question was, did it pass? And so we were not in agreement somewhere whether it passed or not. And so the vote to approve the tabling is not that vote that was in there.
So, Dr. Petty, I would have to defer to Secretary Taylor. She took those notes. Maybe we can remove them to clean it up to reflect what you all.
Yeah, we would probably need to just
Yeah,
make
sure.
a motion to amend the minutes.
Yes,
to
sir.
Take that particular item out.
So move.
Second?
it's 8:02.
Okay, all right.
Okay, number
So
802.
roll call vote, Madam Secretary.
So, I'm sorry,
there
Dr.
was a-
Petty, so the vote on the floor that was amended, I'm trying to make it
take
clear,
out
is
that-
to amend the meeting.
Amend the minutes, the meeting minutes, to take out the facilities discussion until we have clarification on it.
And then the first was Humphrey,
Yeah.
and our second was
Think me.
Milton Roberts. And then we want a roll call vote, right, President? All right, give me a second. I have to pull it up in the system. No particular order, Director Davis Day. We're voting to amend the minutes. Director Milton Roberts. Vice President Pearson.
Yes.
Dr. Petty.
Yes.
Secretary Taylor.
Yes.
And Director Humphrey.
Yes.
And so the yes has it, Dr. Petty, to amend the audit meeting minutes.
All right. So now we will go back for a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
So move.
Second?
Roll call vote, Madam Secretary.
So the first was Humphrey,
Yes.
and then the second was Milton Roberts.
Thought you called me to vote.
And the vote on the floor is to approve the consented items. No particular order. Director Humphrey.
Yes.
Secretary Taylor.
Yes.
Dr. Petty.
Yes.
Vice President Pearson.
Yes.
Director Milton Roberts.
Yes.
And Director Davis Day.
No.
The yeses have it, Dr. Petty.
Thank you. All right, we will move to the final agenda item of tonight's meeting, which will be Joint Executive Governing Board comments and announcements. And we will start with Director Humphrey.
Just before you go that, we got 8.05. We need to approve the personnel report.
That's
I
under
thought that was under
consent.
consent.
That's
Under
under
consent.
consent.
under
Yes, sir.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah.
I'm good. I have no comment.
Thank you.
It's late.
The chair recognizes Secretary Taylor.
No comments. Thank you for coming out tonight.
The chair recognizes Vice President Pearson.
I got announcements, but I'm gonna try to keep it as brief as possible. Oh Lord, Martin Luther King weekend with Mid St. Louis County. They had a Freedom March on Monday, leaving from Normandy High School to Barack Obama and their leadership and prayer. Breakfast is Saturday at Normandy High School. North County Co-op has their 2026 CERT training program. It basically helps the citizens and elected officials, community members prepare for natural disasters, any type of emergency that they got going on. As we mentioned earlier, the Strategic Planning Community Forum is next Thursday, January 22nd, 5:30 to 6:30 p.m. at the Support Center, which is the building that we're in right now. We have Meet the Candidate, which is the people who are running for the school board come April 7th. That is Wednesday, March 25th from 6 to 7:30 at Normandy High School. St. Louis County Board and Commissions, they're looking for people. Visit the website. We want to put our faces in the places. Last but not least, I attended the Community Impact Network A Night with the Stars, where myself, fellow staff, and those lovely students that we saw this evening were nominated and honored. We want to continue to do great things in our community because our community needs us, our school district needs us. And I'm going to end with a quote from Tiana Taylor. She won Supporting Best Actress at the Golden Globe Award. I'm tired, y'all. Sorry. Purpose always finds this moment. Y'all have a good night. Thank you.
The chair recognizes Director Milton Roberts.
I just want to say, first off, Happy New Year and welcome back to everyone. The second thing that I'd like to say is that we really appreciate you hanging in there with us this evening. The third thing I'd like to say, and I'm just going to repeat it, is that our number one resource in our buildings are our teachers and our principals and administrators, and then our consumers, the folks that we really do all this for, are the kids. And so we need to continue to really push very hard to hear their voices and to do things that are going to encourage them to want to come to school and to want to learn. And I think that we have to really lean in and dig deeper as opposed to, sometimes just kind of making an assumption. They're a different generation than we are. So some things that, make sense to us don't necessarily make sense to them. The other thing that I would like to say is that I think we really need to make sure that we are connecting with our families in the community, our businesses in the community. And when I say that, I don't mean superficially, but rather we're saying we want to raise academics, so that means that we have to help them by sharing with them what it is that we need them to talk to their student about, what is it that we need them to expose their student to, and so forth. It's kind of a fool's folly to say, do this, but you don't tell them what it is you need them to do. So if we're going to hold hands and do this heavy lift, we need to genuinely hold hands and do this heavy lift and understand that everybody's in a different place. Everybody's got something they can contribute and share, and that together we can actually get this done.
The chair recognizes Director Davis Day.
I have no comments. Everybody have a good evening.
I just have two brief comments. There are those instances where words have little to do with numbers, and there's not a single person in this room during their lifetime where simple addition and subtraction has changed. There's not one person in the room, not one. I think that when we think about going to this community and asking for a bond issue, it's ill-advised if we don't even know if we can deliver to the community a school system. Our primary priority must be accreditation and the survival of this school district. And anybody who's not focusing on that, that's where you're going to find the real problem and the real issue. I think that honesty is not hard to find, just like dishonesty is not difficult to point out. And we need to make sure that we are acting on behalf of the voters and the citizens of the community that pay these tax dollars. We have to be serious about tax dollars and our money. And all of us run households. And all of us don't run our accounts into overdraft or below a certain threshold. We know that. It's just that simple. Thank you all for coming.